All right, so here we have 9.2 example 3, and this is going to cover solving quadratics with no solution. So in the example, it asks me to solve negative x squared equals 2x plus 4 by graphing. And you probably guessed I will show you how to solve it by graphing with the first example, but really the graphing is not necessary every single time. So my first step in solving this equation is to get it in standard form, so I did that by adding x squared to both sides. That left me with x squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0. And I would try to factor this, but I noticed that I was unable to factor it. There are no two numbers that I can multiply to equal positive 4 that when I add them they equal positive 2. There's no combination of that that'll work. So since I cannot factor it, there are no zeros and there's no x-intercept if I were looking at a graph. And what you'll see is that that means that there is no solution to this equation. So if I were to graph it, this is what the graph would look like. And again, like I said earlier, there is no x-intercept. That parabola never crosses the x-axis, which means there's no solution to this equation. There's no real solution. So if you are solving and you try to factor, and if you see that you cannot factor it, your answer is just going to be no real solution. And you can do that without graphing, but if you like to see the graph, you can draw the graph as well. So here are your 3 monitoring progress problems. You do not need to make a graph to find the solutions, and be on the lookout for any equations that will have no real solution. So in number 7, I have rewritten the equation in standard form, which gives me x squared minus 3x plus 3 is equal to 0. And I tried to factor it, but there was no two pair of numbers that multiplied together would give me positive 3, but then when added together would give me negative 3. So since I was unable to factor, there is no real solution here, no solution. And then in number 8, I am going to go ahead and start by rewriting the equation in standard form, which gives me x squared plus 7x plus 6 is equal to 0. And here I was able to factor. So when I factored, I took the quantity of x plus 6 multiplied by the quantity of x plus 1 is equal to 0. And from there, I was able to tell that the solutions would be x is equal to negative 6 and x is equal to negative 1. So the way I knew that this one would have a solution is because positive 6 times positive 1 equals 6, and then 6 plus 1 equals 7. So since I was able to factor, there was going to be a solution, and in this case, we had 2 solutions. All right, you guys, for this last one in number 9, I started by rewriting the equation in standard form, which gave me x squared plus 2x plus 5 equals 0. And this was another example here where there was no way I could factor it, which tells me that there is going to be no solution.